We have Alan Adler here to talk to us about his upcoming Truck Tech release here, or the Truck Tech segment here on Freightways Now. And we're not talking about 12 volt, 24 volt. No. That's child's play. Alan, what are we talking about here?
More power to you. More power to the people, more power for the trucks. No, seriously. Okay, so a little bit deeper dive today than I usually get into in terms of technology. And I know we call this Truck Tech, so no apologies there. But essentially, we're talking about 48 volt battery systems. So what is that? If you've ever been in a hybrid vehicle, whether it's a Prius or whatever it is, you may have experienced a 48 volt battery system. You just didn't know it because they don't talk about it. Basically, it's a higher power system that controls a lot of things in the vehicle, a lot of accessories, and it allows for things like regenerative braking, where you put energy back into the vehicle when you're braking, and it also in a hybrid will allow you to get a little more boost when you accelerate. So those are called mild hybrid systems. That's sort of the original use for a 48 volt system. But now that we're getting them into trucks, and they're not here quite yet, but they're coming, they've got a couple other purposes. And one of the big uses of them is going to be to meet some of these new pollution and emission regulations, because you can get your catalyst that basically works to heat up the after treatment system to break down pollution that the truck wants to spew out the back end. In a diesel truck, it heats this catalyst faster and keeps it hotter longer. So that's one of the major uses. We had an opportunity to talk to Ben Carr from Eaton about this. He's a technology manager over there. And they recently introduced a new 48 volt system that can be used for a number of functions in a truck. Accessory functions. And usually those kind of releases are sort of like, yeah, they're pretty deep. Maybe we wanted to go there, but this seems like something that really does matter. Another place that 48 volt is going to become important is going to be with autonomous trucks, because there's so much more power demand to run the systems in an autonomous truck than there is in a standard truck.
I've got to think about this. Anthony mentions 12 volt batteries, and I'm just like taken back to my childhood of zipping around in my little Barbie Jeep powered by my 12 volt battery, right? And then you multiply that by 40, get to your 48. Is this something that we're looking at actually adding some extra power now, or is this enough to sustain those EVs with a decent amount of power?
Well, we have to separate the 48 volt system as sort of, think of it as kind of the under the hood system, whereas the high power electric systems that drive electric trucks, those are high voltage systems. And what the 48 volt system does is it takes care of some of the accessories and some of the other things that you need. Like, for example, one of the best uses, you've heard of probably auxiliary power units that are used in most diesel trucks, so they don't have to idle all night, and they run these systems. So sometimes they still run on diesel and occasionally on battery, but an auxiliary power system is sort of an expensive add-on to a truck, just so you can run things like the lights, the microwave, and the air conditioning at night while you're parked and the driver's in a rest period. What a 48 volt system will do is, if it's integrated properly, it'll replace the need for an APU. It'll power your air conditioning, for example, when you're stopped, and things like that, because it's working off of stored energy that comes in from, again, either regenerative braking or energy that's already stored on board, to take care of some of these needs. And again, when you switch over to, say, the running an autonomous system, the huge amounts of electricity that are needed for compute and for steering and for braking and things like that. Those are all things that, these systems are being designed to handle. The first ones that we'll probably see are going to be on what are called the Super Truck 2 prototypes. It'll be out later this year. This is a Department of Energy program that allows people to test different technologies. And Eaton, which again is largely provided us our help today in truck tech, they're working with PACCAR on one of those trucks now.
Now, when we're looking at, that's like powering the APUs, powering the truck itself. I'm going to wonder, is there any type of battery technology that's looking at powering like refrigeration units on reefer trailers at all right now? Or is that kind of like something that could be a future application?
Well, just about everybody. I didn't really pay attention to them, but they were out in force at the recent Advanced Transportation Expo. But the cold companies, the reefer companies, are all working on electric versions for powering without emissions. Obviously, their reefer units, and so that's absolutely coming. Some of them are even looking at solar power, on the roof of the trucks to generate the electricity ultimately that would be used to run the reefer. So it's all being integrated. It's all being worked on in somewhat in separate buckets, but eventually it'll all come together. But yeah, you're seeing the whole reefer area is being addressed almost separately in a way, but it's all moving towards electric rather than powering it on diesel.
48 volts entering this space. Are there any concerns around safety, just like this new innovation within the space, overheating, things like that happening?
I don't know if it's overheating so much, Anthony, but I do think that, Ben Carr mentioned, how hard it is to integrate these systems because so many electrical engineers at the original equipment companies, at the truck makers, he says that anybody who can spell electric is basically being used right now to work on a high voltage system. So this is an additional challenge to get people, sort of up to speed and able to work on and integrate these 48 volt systems, which are, I can't say one is more important than the other, but they're both going to be very important for electric trucks and autonomous trucks and ultimately for, the diesel trucks that we still have on the road.
I've got to send that quote from Ben Keaton to my dad because I'm the daughter of an electrical engineer. He's got an electrical engineering degree, and he will absolutely laugh at that. Alan, what else are you working on for us now coming forward in the next few days for stories?
Let me back up just to 7 o'clock this morning. Interesting piece, I think, came together out of the expo on Watt EV. This is a company we really haven't written much about, but they are sort of modernizing the Pony Express, if you will. They're developing infrastructure for high-speed charging, starting in California, and ultimately will move eastward from there. They have already purchased or leased, 50 Volvo electric trucks, and they're creating a truck as a service business that essentially wants you to take one of their trucks, drive it about 250 miles, swap the truck, drop the trailer, hook it up to another fully powered truck and take off. That sounds a lot like a Relay or a Pony Express to me. I looked up the Pony Express from the 1860s. And these guys are fascinating because they're not truck people that are doing it. These are engineers. The co-founder and CEO, has 4 degrees, which is one more than the guy we wrote about last week who had 3 degrees. They're just super smart people, but they're systems people. And the founder, Salim Yusuf Zada, and his father, Emil, who's the chairman, are both engineers, and they both don't think it's important that they know the trucking business as much as they know how to make different systems work well together, and that's what they're doing. So I'm a little biased, but I think it's an interesting read on a company that I think you're going to hear more from in coming years. They've been a darling at the ACT Expo for a couple of years now, and they're getting by. There's no SPAC or anything involved with these guys. $20 million of their money has come from grants in California to do their business.
That has some traditional roots here in the U.S. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's always great having you on. We're looking forward to having you on again next week.
Thank you, Anthony. Kayla, have a great weekend, guys.
You as well, Alan. We're going to take a quick break right now, but when we come back, we'll have John Kingston here to talk about May's employment numbers, and we'll have our next carrier update in just a few minutes.